What's good, everybody? Happy Thursday. Bobo's going to billions. Bobo is going to Solana from Ethereum. And Emblem is now close to 2/3 of the way migrated after 48 hours.
Let's go. So we got a huge, groundbreaking, first ever Ethereum to Solana migration. Bobo, ready for that? That's going to be massive. And then we have our own migration that's currently ongoing, sitting at about 62%. What's it at, Jake?
It's at 60. Let's see.
65 for me, it says.
65%. And Adam's internet is broken per monthly in Costa Rica. So here we are. Adam is live.
Well, it's a cascading effect, right? It's like last time the electrical guys put in new posts, right? Took out my electricity. This time, you know, they got to move the lines to the new posts. So my cable was down this morning, or not cable, but fiber optic was down this morning. I live literally looking at a guy in front of my house, up on the wire, man. So cell phone it is. I'm amazed that I can hear you through my cell phone. So it's all good.
Yeah, you sound great too. You sound perfect.
Yeah, audio does sound really good. So we are at 65% migrated. I believe there's a few hundred migrators. I think it was a little bit above 200 to close to 250 different wallets that have migrated. We are at 65% and hoping to get past the Tensor to Hustle migration, which I believe was 77.5%. So it'd be ideal to pass that, only 12% away. We'll see, though. The market has been pretty rough, although coming back a little bit with a ceasefire, not a ceasefire. Now there's negotiations in a ceasefire. All I know is that the market just wants to be bullish.
I mean, dude, how awesome is it going to be with the Bobo migration, right? When that ETH chart, bro, I was reading through some of the comments. When that ETH chart goes to zero and everybody's like, holy shit, Bobo rug, it's going to be amazing, bro. It's going to be a real wake-up call. And yeah, I'm excited for it, man. It's going to be fucking great.
Yeah, we also just got off a call with another team who's looking to migrate, who was presenting us with some unique ideas of what the migrate fund technology has. And if you actually just break it down into smaller pieces, there's multiple products inside of the package offering, which is pretty unique, especially as you go cross-chain here. But it'll be interesting to see the ETH community and how they react to migrations. As you know, on Solana, there's a heavy amount of engagement farmers who are there who love to just post and hate on coins. ETH, a little bit more kind of a nerdy community, a little bit more cypherpunk. So you don't really see too many charts on ETH just go straight to zero. On Pump, that's or on Solana, it's regular, right? Because of the meme coin craze. But on ETH, that's not typically common. So it'll be pretty exciting. Bobo announced their migration this morning, and it's going to be starting on 420 at 420. Perfect day to launch. Okay. And it's going to be closing on May the 4th be with you. So we got some meme beginning and ending time and date. If anyone remembers, Bobo launched in 2023. They were one of the early meme coins. This is before Pump Fund existed. If you remember kind of the pre-sale meta that was ongoing. I don't believe Bobo was a pre-sale, though. But this was back in a time when the tokens were in the trillions of supply. I believe Bobo is like 42 trillion or 69 trillion supply. So those who migrate, you're still going to get the same percentage, right? As you put down here, if you have 1% of the Bobo supply on ETH, you'll get 1% of the supply on Sol. The token amount will just be different because you're going to be condensing down to trillions to 1 billion. It's going to be a 2-week migration, pretty standard across the board. And then there will be a 90-day claim period with a 10% late fee. So pretty much the standard across the board. We have some cool stuff in a new dashboard that'll be being launched with Bobo. So once that is live, permissionless migration should also be a thing, which I think, I don't know if the world's ready for that. Maybe it is. We'll see some unique ideas. But up until this point, since July, man, it's been what, 9 months now? 9 months or so. Anyone who migrates, they have to go straight to us and we have to have a conversation with them. But soon, that'll not be the situation. Anyone could just go set up a migration and move on with their life.
It's interesting. Like I was reading through, if you go check out the comments, it just shows how early we are. People are like, well, what's going to happen to the ETH, to the price on ETH? It's like, like literally they think it's going to like, be some sort of bridge or something. Like there's a lot of like awareness building that's going to happen around that chart going to zero. And so, yeah, I think it's a really unique opportunity for us to kind of harness that event. And whether Pepe moves or something or whatever, it could definitely happen. And I think we were talking offline about Photon. I noticed the other day Photon's no longer supporting ETH or base tokens, right?
Wow.
What are that just shows the volume, like what's happened, right? Where there's basically no activity there. Our team's going to want to move off base, like I think, or off ETH. Like I think this could open a real, break a real dam where people are like, fuck this. Let's go where the action is. So yeah, it's fucking exciting as shit.
Well, this is what we talked about when we first were talking about creating Migrate Fund before, while we were still in the process of it, is that at some point when you have cross-chain migrations, it's not just the AMMs and launchpads within their own ecosystem, right? So currently you have Pump, Bonk Fund, Launch Lab, Meteora, Meteor DBC, all kind of competing against each other for tokens on Solana. But once you open up Ethereum, Base, BNB, now all the blockchains have to compete against one another. You can have essentially the Base Foundation, trying to encourage teams to migrate to Base, whatever incentive mechanism they want to use. Users who are not happy can then go migrate to Pump or to Meteora or to Radium. And Bobo had told us they want to migrate to Pump. They want to go to Sol. And it's actually kind of funny reading some of the concerns, right? Because the migration is going to be just a forever awareness building event because it is something that's new. A lot of people don't really understand how it works. So to address some of these questions here, somebody said, imagine locking your coins on a hard wallet land, walking away until the bear market is over, and then to find them worthless because someone migrated to Sol and you missed the migration window. In 2026, why does there need to be a migration window and claim window? Can Migrate Fund not create equal to ETH holders and then redistribute upon claiming at any stage without penalty? No, the whole reason Migrate Fund exists is because of locked liquidity pools. If the liquidity was unlocked, Migrate Fund would probably not be a business. Because there's locked liquidity, we basically have to collect all the tokens and sell them to then get the ETH, convert the ETH to Sol, and then use the Sol to relaunch Bobo on Pump Fund, which is on Solana. So redistributing wallets, because this is cross-chain, how do I know what your Solana wallet is? I don't know what the Solana wallet is, right? So basically all the tokens will be collected, sold. There is a migration window, but there's also a claim window. So effectively, teams have about holders have effectively about 4 months to migrate their tokens before those tokens are then returned or in the possession of the migrating team to use at their discretion. What the team does with their tokens is solely their decision. But we've seen kind of a wide variety of use cases. Some teams will, depending on if it's a meme coin or kind of an infrastructure project, the infrastructure project, right? Like privacy tokens, agent tokens, and whatever it is, launch pads. When they're migrating, it's pretty straightforward. Hey, we're taking the tokens, they're going into the treasury, and they're going to be used to fund operations and incentives or whatever they want to do. With meme coins, it's a little bit different, right? Because it depends on whether there was a creator or was it a CTO. There's a lot of social components to it. But for example, Mitchie said they're going to burn all of the extra supply. We've seen some teams put the tokens into a DAO, which is controlled by the CTO. So there's a lot of exploration and opportunities, but no, can't just create wallets for people and airdrop them because it's a locked liquidity pool. Wouldn't this kill the value of our ETH coins? Yes, but if you migrate, then you get the same value on Sol, right? Because Bobo's at a $5 million market cap. If enough people migrate, then you'll have enough Sol to basically relaunch it at a $5 million market cap on Sol or even higher. What happens in 90 days if they do not claim? Devs keep it or burn it? Why is this not addressed? I'm sure the Bobo team will address that at some point in time. Is this the ETH Bobo? Yes, it is. A lot of comments on this one. April Fools, last week you missed the window. That one.
That's maybe my favorite one. That was awesome, man.
Yeah, this is always like the main, I guess you would say, FUD point is people think if you didn't migrate in that 1 or 2 week window, you lose everything, which is not true at all. Right? If you missed the migration window, the initial one, there's a snapshot that's taken of all holders on ETH who can then come and migrate in the claims window with that penalty. So you'll get 90% of the supply because there's a 10% penalty there. The penalty is there to really encourage people to migrate. It's human behavior. We've seen all different tests and trials for different types of incentives mechanisms to get people to migrate. We've seen the penalty, 100% penalty, 0% penalty, people saying they're going to airdrop supply on the other side. Ultimately, the fear of losing money is the strongest incentive that I've seen. Some people may not like to hear that, but that is just human behavior. And it just comes down to, do you want to be right or do you want to win? Right. And if you want to be right, you want to incentivize people by airdropping. If you want to win, then you've got to do the penalty in some capacity. But this is overall pretty bullish. Almost everybody seems to be on board. There's always some naysayers. Somebody said exchanges do it automatically. I guess, right? So we're going to reach out to exchanges today. We had notified some of them about it. It really comes down to the exchange's decision. They'll either delist the token or they'll work with us on a one-to-one swap. It's really up to them. A lot of times, I don't even know. Adam and I, we have conversations with exchanges literally every day. Sometimes they amaze me. Sometimes I'm like, they're totally on board with this. And all of a sudden they throw a, hey, here's a relisting fee, or or no, we're not going to do it. Or, hey, we're delisting the token. And then after the token migrates, they're like, hey, we want to relist the token. I've seen kind of all combinations of it. It's really, really tough to know the exchanges, but we have been building strong relationships with everybody. So the actual Bobo migration will be set up later next week. The reason we're doing that is because if we set it up now, scammers are going to come out in full force to try to trick people. So it's best to save those links until it's closer to migration time.
Yep. Definitely. I think, for me, it's like with these big ones, I think most exchanges get on board. There's always the outlier. There's always the, curveball, as you said. I mean, like, it's a joke. You just said it, but there was one exchange recently who literally was like, we're delisting. And then the migration happened and they're like, okay, great. We're ready to migrate. It was like, well, dude, what are you talking about? Right. I mean, it's just one hand does not always talk to the other within these exchanges. They're huge bureaucracies for a lot of them. But in general, it's just deepening relationships for us, and being able to walk these teams through this process is obviously a big deal for them. to feel taken care of. And yeah, it's going to be, I think Bobo is, and again, just one of these really first movers that, we might get a little pushback from exchanges, but I think at the end of the day, these exchanges want tokens with interest, eyeballs, and attention. And Bobo's definitely going to have it. So it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I agree as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting what happens with the volume, right? For these exchanges, if the volume on Sol just completely engulfs the volume that was on Ethereum, and then is there like an invisible hand that kind of encourages some similar teams to make the migration from Ethereum to Solana because the volume structure was so much different, so much more bullish. But really just want to give a shout out to the Bobo team. They've been like super gung-ho about getting this migration going. They really wanted to do it. And we've been preparing the tech for months for them to do it. So, it's an all hands on deck kind of effort. There was a few pretty big teams that wanted to make the move, and Bobo was just the most consistent and like most ready to really make it happen and jump through the door. So definitely expect some to follow them. But to be first through the door in anything, to pioneer anything is, just as scary as it is exciting. But I think this is going to be a huge move for them, and I'm pretty stoked to see them on the other side.
Yeah, I think for a lot of teams who are migrating, it really comes down to I would say maybe like being a little fearless on how the exchanges respond. We have had some teams who want to migrate, but then they don't because they're fearful that an exchange is going to come in and delist them in some capacity. But what we've seen with most of the successful migrations is they're like, hey, we want the exchanges to support us, but if they don't, then, we have a mission to move forward. It's always the teams that are a little concerned about the exchanges or like how they will respond, which is what holds them back. I mean, just looking at the exchange volume here, I have it here pulled up for Bobo Coin. XT has the most volume. It's 150K. And then all of the other exchanges are like 25,000. So it's really not even that much. I mean, the Uniswap pool had 30,000 in trading volume today. So that would actually be number 2 in places where it's trading. They have KSEX, LBank, Albert, XC, CoinX, and BVOX. So it's really like not an insane amount, right? So 30,000. So Uniswap would be number 2 out of all these, right? So for some projects, they're just afraid of losing those exchange listings. I know it's a pain in the ass because we're going through that, right? With talking with these exchanges for Emblem. But a lot of times they'll just hop on board. So just keep those numbers in mind and to see, because the reason I pointed out is Chris, is theorizing that just moving to Solana, the volume is just going to be significantly higher than what we see now.
Yeah, it seems like there's no doubt about that. And I think for us, just talking with literally hundreds of teams now, it's like in anything, the people who are bold tend to do better than the people who need every box ticked, everything perfect. We've had this conversation with so many people where I'm just like, look, there is no perfect thing. If everything was good for you now, you would just stay where you are, right? But at some point you gotta pull triggers. You just gotta go. And there are a couple teams out there who are just like, talk about it for literally months, looking for some magical thing that's going to happen. There is no magic. It's like you're leading your project, you're leading your community. You got to be bold at some point. And I think, hat tip to the Bobo guys who were just almost immediately, we're just like, doesn't matter. If they drop us, we lose the exchanges, fuck it. We're better off without them. You know what I mean? And that sort of boldness, I think, is often rewarded for sure.
And this is a team that, I see them post and they're just like, man, we've been fucking doing this for 2 years for free. What do you think is going to happen when you have a team treasury? What do you think is going to happen when we have creator rewards? Like, so many of these creator communities have been doing this for free, showing up every single day for years, and they're finally about to have some access to some funds. And it really does pay to be first. Obviously, there's no guarantees, but is this going to get the attention of Pump Fund? I mean, this is a huge migration to the Pump Fund platform, a massive win for Pump Fund. Obviously, I'd be surprised if it didn't get some attention from them and their socials. I just don't. I see this as a win on all fronts. Instead of spinning your wheels and accepting the status quo of where you are and just saying like this is where we are, this is where we're going to be forever. They actually took a jump and they're making a change to try and do something different. And that's kind of what you need to do to succeed in this space. You need to try and stand out. You need to gain attention, and you need to continue experimenting, right? So really excited to see what they do with this access to more cash.
I think it's a tale of a strength and mimetic power to communities that can successfully migrate across chains or across ecosystems and have success with it. I mean, really, the first on-chain meme to do that is Pepe, right? They used Emblem Vault to migrate or bridge to Ethereum.
Good point.
And they had a lot of success. And ultimately, what did that do? It pushed the Pepe meme to become a fungible token on ETH, which then blew up and became the meme coin, kind of right that became the center of the initial meme coin explosion that happened last cycle. Not saying it's the first meme coin. And then Pepe ended up proliferating on every chain, right? In all different capacities, and NFTs and fungible tokens. Mitchie seems to be doing a good job of obviously stayed on Solana, but going from Radium to Pump Swap and having a lot of success to do that. And if Bobo can have the same success where you're literally taking your culture and the idea of Bobo and going from ETH to Sol, that to me says that the meme has staying power. There's cultural power there. Because if not, and the community decides to stay, then it means that they're actually more attracted to the value of the coin than they are actually about the culture and social components of the meme itself. So we are hoping for a really high turnout, but ultimately it's on ETH. Who really knows? Maybe we get 20, 30% migrate in the first 2 weeks, and then the rest come through the claims window, which generally happens a lot of times. But there will be 4 months for people to do it. And, maybe Base or BNB or some of these other EVM chains begin reaching out to migrate fund. So we also have Brainlit and Brew, who will be ending their migrations tomorrow. So if you have those tokens, make sure that you migrate them. Moving on, Emblem. Just a little bit more housekeeping notes. So the Emblem token is at 65%. That migration will end on Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Once the migration ends, right, we'll be relaunching on Meteora. We've had some discussions with the Meteora team. We've evaluated all of the technology across all of the different AMMs and launchpads on Solana, determined that Meteora was the best fit for the Emblem terminal and Emblem ecosystem, as well as like Emblem build and some of the fun stuff that'll go there. So we'll be launching there, and then expect a lot of fun announcements and surprises over the following weeks from throughout the rest of April. We've been planning a lot. There's a lot of coordination that goes in between trading and products, right, and rebranding and marketing. So maybe might need to be a little bit patient. But I would say, holders will probably be the ones that win here, right? I know there are always speculators that try to buy the migration and sell it at right before the migration ends and then try to rebuy low. I don't know if that'll happen this time. Maybe. But now that we've done so many migrations, we know kind of how all this stuff works, and we're working on all angles. I would just say it's best to be a holder in this situation because there are many things coming over the coming few months. So be excited for that, because Chris has been working really hard on Emblem Terminal. How's that looking so far?
We are looking good. We're looking better than ever. I would just say that, it's kind of cliche, but the launch of the Emblem Vault token is actually really the beginning. It's the beginning of a full unified vision of all of our products and our entire company under the Emblem Vault umbrella, which is what we've wanted forever. It has the strongest brand equity. It has the most notoriety. It has the longest standing history, 10 years in building in crypto. 10 years in building in crypto is absolutely insane. So, just really reinforcing the brand equity and the structure of everything that the foundation that the Emblem Vault company stands on. So we're excited for that. We're bringing in and introducing the Emblem AI terminal which has loads of new features that's going to be super powerful. I think the community is going to be really, really excited and kind of blown away about all the full stack features that we're going to release. And just know that, you know, anything that we want to integrate, we're able to integrate. It's just a matter of kind of priorities. So Emblem AI, basically, you know, full stack crypto AI terminal, best in the industry. We kind of pioneered the chat interface in crypto for on-chain executions. And, you know, we never gave up on that vision since we started 18 months ago. Everybody else packed their bags, they made a little money and they left. We doubled down on the vision, and today we have the strongest product in the section by far, and it's only going to get better. So a fleet of new releases to come over the next few weeks. Expect a ton of news for the Emblem token itself. Really love the community support. I think everybody's pretty amped up about the move, and just kind of realize that this is more of staking our flag and, you know, planting our feet and saying that this is really just the beginning for all the things that are to come from Emblem. But the biggest thing to remember is, you know, Emblem is a full company. It's not a single product team. We're not a single product company. And so the Emblem Vault token is the official token of Migrate Fund. It's the official token of the Emblem Vault ecosystem, including Emblem AI and everything else to come after. So this is, we were very fragmented before, and this is us unifying everything together under one vision. And this is really the start of something extremely special.
Yeah, is there a shout out to Shizzy? He says 2 legends, 1 show. Let's go. I was watching some of Shizzy's videos about BitTensor. Obviously, he was.
Bro, he called it. He called it early. I think he was in before Jason on this one, man. He really, he crushed it, bro.
I see Shizzy on TikTok all the time, baby. Me and him on the TikTok grind.
Yeah, that's the new medium, is advertising to non-crypto natives. You see this from all the experienced teams, or the ones who are directionally aligned with where they need to go to find users, expanding on TikTok, Facebook, just traditional rails, getting literally the all-in podcast start shilling your bags, which is kind of wild to see. Jason saying that he was loading up on mid 6-figure investment.
Yo, that was nuts, right? I mean, what's mid 6 figures, Jason? I thought you were rich, bro. He's rich. He's not wealthy, I guess. He's not.
I didn't even
wealthy
think it was
like
mid. I thought he was like, I thought he said I deployed 6 figures. I don't even know if it was mid. Yeah, like I think it was like 100K, and we're like, come on, bro. Like, you gotta size that up over here. I don't know what you're doing. I mean, you got like 15-year-olds that are aping 6 figs.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Otherwise, in the news, I guess, and the Iran war obviously is something that's ongoing. Ceasefire, market wants to be bullish. Market wants to be very bullish. Granted, if market's, I think, going to continue to probably go up on any type of news, but man, you better be prepared for if some bad news actually does happen, because then it's going to go probably straight down for quite a while.
I just think the market doesn't care. I don't think it believes it. I think it thinks it's over. Even when Trump was threatening the worst of the worst, that people were saying he was like threatening a nuclear bomb, U.S. equities were down like 0.3% or something. Like, it knows that it's on its last leg. I'm, pretty confident there.
Shizzy says, when is the Shannon interview on the Emblem morning show? I need some Shannon in my life. Actually, Shannon wants to be more available for shows once Emblem build is launched. So if you want Shannon to come on your show and talk, shoot us a DM and he'll come on. And I think we're going to be doing some streams with him, probably beginning in May, with the Emblem build product, as well as just coming on and hanging out. You're going to see, I think, a lot more content from the founder of Emblem Vault moving forward, as this guy manages like 50 agents who are now doing all the work on his behalf. Which is kind of,
bro, it's like what happens when you I mean, this is seeing like a really high-end dev work, which we do see every day in Shannon. The level is so different than an average human that you it's hard to even like comprehend how much more they can produce and launch and make than a regular person. And you know, Shannon says, well, this window is only open for another maybe 6 months to a year. But right now, it's like hard to describe for anybody listening, like how much that super high level builders or devs can build in a day. It's like stunning. And so when we launch Emblem Build, I'm saying, man, get ready for us to have like 20 new products, because that's what it feels like is going to happen. You know, Jake and I just got off a call where, you know, an idea that we'd been kind of kicking around with. This founder was like, bro, if you have this, I can sell this all day long to people who want to launch tokens. And it's like, we can build it now. I know Shannon could build that thing in probably 3 days, like a week max. It would be like out the door in people's hands. And I think that kind of thing, nobody's accounting for that. People are vastly underestimating what that means. And so, yeah, get ready, man. Actually, I don't know if Jake put it out there, but in our TG, if you're in our TG and you want to be have early access to Emblem Build, just ping us in the Telegram, and we'll get you on the list. We have a short list, 10 to 20 people who are going to get the kind of early access at it. So definitely hit us up in the TG.
Yeah, I believe we'll open that up later next week. So I know a few people like Bratoshi has been using the V1 Emblem build, as well as Kane and a few others. But considers the V2 is significantly higher level, I have to say. It's like a completely different experience. What's up, Jonathan? Running a bit late. What's up, team? Good to see you, dude. One of my favorite bullish actors in the chat. This guy gets off work and just starts chilling immediately. What a guy.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, really AI is taking everything by storm. You know, AI is 100xing everything. AI should be able to find 100x tokens as well. So if you're not using crypto in every aspect of your life, if you're not using crypto, or if you're not using AI in crypto as well, you're going to fall behind. Like, this is, why are you listening to some KOL or some influencer on the timeline when you can go to a super intelligent 180 IQ sidekick that you have in your pocket that's available to you 24/7 instantly at any need that you want for on-chain executions, token discovery, whatever it might be. So there's number one AI crypto platform, and that's Emblem AI. If you're not using it, you will be falling behind, and it's only going to get better.
That is really exciting times ahead. Outside of that, I don't really know. Anything you guys want to dive into that caught your attention from today's?
I just know that Star and CZ are bickering on the timeline, and then so CZ just threw $1 billion bet at him, and then I said,
"Wait, what was it? Explain this to me. I didn't see it. What happened?"
Yeah, because Star keeps on saying that basically CZ keeps on lying about what happened on 10/10 and all this stuff. So they've been kind of like publicly bickering. And then it seems that CZ, or that he, for some reason, Star questioned whether he was actually divorced or not. And then CZ said, no, I'm officially divorced, and I can show proof. If you don't believe me, here's $1 billion bet, or any size that you want. And then so I said, Kobe, we need your escrow services. This is a big one. So pretty crazy. Kobe's in the comments too. But yeah, threw out the $1 billion bet on him. I don't know if that's ever been done before. Maybe it has, but it seems like that would be one of the biggest peer-to-peer wagers of all time, $1 billion.
See, CZ throws out size, man. I don't know why Jason can't throw out a little size. Not CZ size, but a little size.
Yeah. So pretty interesting stuff.
$1 billion in BNB versus $1 billion in OKX coin. Loser basically gets their whole thing dumped to oblivion.
Yeah,
putting ego off for the future of your token. Speaking about kind of just on-chain information before, this just popped up on my timeline. Tokenized assets, spot DEX volume has gone up, looks like 3x or 4x since launch last summer. So this would be like tokenized OpenAI or tokenized Google or whatever on chain on Solana. Was doing about 25 million in volume when it first launched. Now it's around 150 million per day. Was crypto really just built to become the on-chain version of institutionalized assets? As I did see, was it the CFTC commissioner? Somebody was saying that within a few years, it was like 5 trillion in equities is going to be tokenized and trading on chain, and just the next evolution of just finance in general. It's not just crypto. We're moving from becoming the crypto industry to just finance industry.
Yeah, I mean, the core innovation here, once again, is the token. It's the contract. If you're trading a stock at a broker, you're trading the price of the stock, but the broker is holding your stock certificate. You don't actually own the actual stock certificate. It's just held by your broker. But if you actually, when these equities truly come on chain, the stock certificate will be embedded in the token contract. So once again, you have digital property and you have full access to the actual property. You have the bearer asset. So it's like 100x of a core innovation that exists in the world today. Imagine you have Charles Schwab, you're holding certificates for tens of millions of customers. That's crazy. But if you're trading true tokenized equities, whoever holds the tokens is holding their own stock certificate and the bearer asset that gives them full access to the actual stock.
Yeah, should be interesting maybe a few years from now to see what the next kind of narrative is, or I guess the next, or what's the main meta. I was actually watching like a Thread Guy show the other day, and he was talking about how crypto hasn't had a new game in a few years, right? The last game was meme coins. The game before that was NFTs. The game before that was ICOs. To me, it feels like agents are the thing. Agents are going to be the game. RWAs, I saw some other people saying that. But right now, I guess you'd say the mini game is people going long and short oil on Hyperliquid, right? I saw Hyperliquid had like 5 billion in 24-hour volume for oil. And it's really
that's literally like the biggest traded item on biggest traded thing online or on chain is oil futures.
Yeah, literally.
That's crazy,
perps,
man.
oil perps.
That's fucking crazy. Oil perps. That's fucking nuts, man. Amazing.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how people are spinning different narratives. I've been looking at a lot of the kind of like where crypto media is today. It's always something that's interesting to me. Because it seems like every cycle there's always some new medium that ends up becoming center stage. Last cycle was spaces. When I got into crypto, it was podcasts in like 2017. Before that, it was like YouTube, kind of in like the early days. And now it's live streamers, right? And we're seeing a lot of the crypto live streamers. They kind of have their show all similar to like what TPBN is, right? Where it's like a more of like a show. It's kind of like what Fox Business is in a sense. And then these are the people who are kind of spitting out the narratives. Right. With like Thread Guys out there, you have TPBN, you have I think there's like MCG, and there's like 10 of these shows now. And honestly, a lot of times they're during the day. It's generally somewhere between like 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And it's just fun to watch these conversations because I just have them on in the background while I'm like kind of working, and to see, the narratives being pushed and to see it really kind of mimic what traditional financial media has been, right? Like Fox Business or like Jim Cramer show. And it seems like at some point in time here in the near future, maybe in the next 5 years or so, you're going to see that showdown, or maybe even that transcendence of financial media and entertainment really surpass just typical forms of entertainment. Because it is kind of fun to watch Thread Guy talk about his insights on, on the world of finance, but it has this like mimetic and cynical take on it that you do not see on the traditional media, right?
Yeah, it's coming from a retarded person. Man. So I mean, it's like, it's traditional finance with a retard bend. I mean, it is. I gave credit to the TBPN guys because they were able to professionalize it in a way that certainly crypto had never done, really. I think, at least. And their superpower was just the guests they got on, right? And to Thread's credit, like he gets great guests on too, right? And it's amazing because great guests, but still you look at like the number of people watching it, it's still pretty low. Like, I mean, in a traditional sense, it's actually extremely low. The numbers, although I hear the podcast numbers, the downloads are actually way better. But again, those can be completely fudged, Mario Nafal style, to fudge stuff up. But they did the most important thing, which is like get legit people on, right? It makes us look legit. And then we become highly valuable to ads, people who are looking to place ads. And like they were supposedly making 30 million a year in ad revenue. Fucking bonkers. Like that's incredible amount of revenue for a podcast or a show like that. It really is incredible. So yeah, I give them all the credit because it's really, really hard to do. And they definitely, they went about it the right way, which obviously they either had their own funding or whatever, because they had a team of like 10 guys and stuff to put that show together, and did a really nice job. But it is a magical thing. Like even what Thread's doing, it's tremendously valuable. And, I'm sure he's making quite a nice amount on ads and stuff. But you're right. That is kind of the model right now for what people are shooting for.
Yeah, I think this presidential election, there's always, or U.S. presidential election, there is also a new form of media that ends up becoming, I guess you'd say, the deciding factor. In 2012, Obama used Twitter to a large degree to campaign. 2016, Trump obviously used Facebook, right, to leverage their kind of brand. I don't know what Biden did. Maybe in 2020 it was like YouTube or something like that. And then obviously last cycle was like very clear podcasts were like the thing. So it does seem like it's also trending towards live streams being the deciding factor. And also just content and media, independent media, becoming a lot more popular in just politics in general. I saw Robert F. Kennedy announce his own podcast yesterday. Right. And you see politicians and tech CEOs, they don't even go on corporate media anymore. They just do podcasts.
I'd actually push back and say streaming or long form shows are not the medium. The medium is actually short form videos, is actually the thing. But what those long form shows do is allow you to take a long form show and take a ton of clips out, right? Yep. But most people are not watching that fucking 2-hour bore fest, right? Most people are just catching it on the shorts, right? And so yeah, I'd actually say short form is the actual winner. That's where my kind of brain goes to it now. But you have to do. I mean, this is what we've been doing for years, right? You have to do the long form to get the short form. That's just the kind of way it works.
Yeah, that's how you get the high credibility guests on.
Yep, and that's
totally,
how
man.
You build confidence and trust with your audience through the long form. But then when it's broken down to shorts, you can really shotgun approach it and kind of reach so many more people, and grow your audience through volume.
Here, let's play a game of some controversy that I've seen. Grift or not grift? The newest World Liberty Fi on-chain actions. I don't know if anyone saw this. Some people were complaining or comparing, I should say. World Liberty Fi went out and I think they borrowed or they deposited 484 million in World Liberty Fi tokens to borrow. I think it was like 75 million in USDC. And a lot of people are saying that World Liberty Fi is never going to repay that.
Bro, loan. It's crazy town. It's literally crazy town. How does that make any sense, bro? How does that make any sense other than they're doing something nefarious with that? How does that make any sense? Make it make sense, please.
So World Liberty Fi multi-sig contract deposited 890 million. World Liberty Fi tokens is collateral. So it's approximately 484 million to borrow 20 million in USD1, which is their own stable coin. The contract is cumulatively deposited 890 million World Liberty Fi, 100 million in USDC is 17,000 SOL as collateral, borrowing a total of 110 million USD1. It says that it's a recursive leverage loop, is what some people are saying, and it's borrowing its own stablecoin against its own governance token on a platform that's built on top of Dolomite, raising questions of whether 35% APR is real yield or is an artifact of circular lending, which is something that Terra Luna was accused of and falling short of just a few cycles ago. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, if anyone's an expert on daisy chain lending here, it is me. Unfortunately, I've been on all sides of that.
Bro, are you going to create a daisy chain lending protocol on top of Emblem build? Is that what your big strategy is, bro?
I mean, it seems like World Liberty 5 beat me to it. It is this is like the final outcome of anyone that has leverage. How do I get leverage on my leverage to boost even more leverage, right? And you're just maxing out. And all is good until, the house of cards falls and then you realize, wow, all of that was collateralized against collateral for another loan. And is it concerning? I mean, dude, you don't want to see this, but if you want to see it anywhere, you want to see it in this environment at like 70K Bitcoin, 2K Ethereum, rather than like 7K Ethereum and 130K Bitcoin, right? Because you actually have more of a solid structure and foundation, more of a floor on these prices. Because once those liquidations start to cascade, they go crazy. So kind of bullish to see it down here. That kind of shows whether it's lucky timing or if they're actually just really expressing interest in, extreme longs going forward into the market. I don't think that that's so bad, but it's pretty irresponsible behavior. But if you're going to be irresponsible near a bottom rather than a top.
Like, as another one of the claims is that they're then operating on these leverage loans with insider information, right, from one of the founders of the company, who also is the president of the United States. Right. So somebody then, I think all they need to do then is just take a poly market bet out on if World Liberty Fi will collapse before a certain date. And I think then we'll have the full recursive leverage speculative bet.
Insane.
It's literally insane, man. Absolutely insane, bro.
I guess we'll see.
But I think they'll pull it off. Obviously, like they're the closest to the information spigot, right? I mean, doing it here and now instead of 6 weeks ago or 2 months ago, I mean, that might be a signal within itself, right? If anyone has access to privileged information, I'm not saying that they do, but it would probably be them.
Interesting. So your theory is that, well, I mean, it's like your theory is that they're expecting bullish news to kind of shoot the market higher, which will make them whole on all these sort of things.
There's the expression is that they're max longing. They're leveraging more leverage to express an extremely long position, and considering their position in around the information spigot, you have to think that they are expecting something positive to move the market.
Wow. Very good. That's cool. I mean, at least it gives you an idea of like where you might want to play a poly market bet, right? Or something like that. This is interesting.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll kind of see what happens here. Yeah, Shidzy says ICO 2.0. I do see a lot of politicians and financial executives calling for the Clarity Act approval recently. I think there's like a hearing or revision that's taking place over the next few days or weeks, and hopefully we'll get that passed. And then also in May, we get a new Fed chair, Kevin Warsh, who I don't know, a lot of people say that he's hawkish, but that he'll be dovish towards lowering rates, I suppose. I watched a bunch of interviews on him, or watched a bunch of interviews of him over the last few years, and he seems to be pretty clean on being a free market absolutist. Like, he seems to he wants companies to go doesn't want them to go bankrupt, but he's more of a let companies fail if they need to, let the market kind of play itself out. And honestly, a lot of his past interviews, it seemed like he was more in favor of not lowering rates, but somehow people seem like, I guess, are encouraged to think that he will, because maybe he's a friend of Trump. Not really too sure there. But I mean, if you get the Clarity Act and then you get some lowered rates and the war ending kind of all in this trifecta, I think that basically eliminates all three kind of question marks in terms of clarity. But as we've kind of seen with crypto, a lot of times when that uncertainty is cleared out, then the market goes down because there's nothing else to really look forward to.
100%, bro. 100%, bro. Yeah. Totally.
He's lowering the rates. He wouldn't be in the running for the job if he was not lowering rates. Trump basically fired Powell solely for not lowering rates. He gets to choose the new Fed chair. He would not choose someone that is not going to go along with significantly lowering the rates. And when you lower the rates, what happens is you're unleashing so much capital into the markets because you're lowering the risk-free rate, the rate of return that you get for just putting your money in a safer spot. So that money has to leave these massive pools of comfortable money and go chase yield into the actual market. So rates will be going lower. I have a lot of money on that.
There we go. Chris got his own recursive loop going in on that. We're going to wrap it up here today because I know Adam and I got a few calls that we got to do. Emblem migration, by the time we have this call next week, Emblem migration will be done. And then expect once the Emblem migration ends, it could be a few minutes to a few hours for everything to kind of get prepared on the back end to be relaunched. And
Emblem token. Here
we let the games begin.
Let's go.
Finally, 10 years in the making. Emblem 10-year anniversary in October. So just right around the corner. Until then, everyone have a fun and safe weekend, and we'll see you guys soon.
Later.